We are here live in the morning for a reason, the three-day manhunt for these brothers, Sharif and Saeed Kouachi. They are inside that big white building, and they are surrounded by thousands of French police and counterterrorism experts.
There was a story earlier that perhaps somebody had been killed in a shootout with police. That is not true. There are 1,500 police surrounding the bad guys. It is 6 o'clock in New York City. It is noon in France.
You are now watching continuing live coverage on Fox and Friends. Two brothers suspected of carrying out the deadly terror attack on a newspaper in Paris appear to have taken a hostage, and right now they are surrounded. A massive operation to capture them is currently underway.
All right, here's what we know so far. At least one sniper is now in a position across the street from the CTD printing company where the suspects are holed up. This is in a small town to the north and to the east of Paris. Those suspects holding a hostage believed to be a woman. French officials have been in contact with the two brothers. The two brothers say they want to die as martyrs. As Elizabeth was just telling you, the entire area is surrounded by hundreds of heavily armed officers. Overall, there's about 90,000 French military and police who are on this operation for the last 3 days. Locals have been told to stay inside their homes, obviously, and all nearby schools have been locked down for a while. The airports were locked down, but now we do get some reports, Steve, that you're allowed to fly. Charles de Gaulle Airport is 7 miles away from this particular printing company. Within the last half hour, the two closed runways have been opened up. Meanwhile, Greg Palcott is live in Paris with the breaking details. Greg, pick up the story. Last night when we went to bed, we believed that the Kouachi brothers were in the forest. They'd ditched the car or they'd driven a car into the forest. There were police helicopters with night vision goggles overhead. What happened?
Steve, Brian, Elizabeth, yes, then a lot of dramatic things happened. Again, they had hijacked one car. It was seen yesterday morning at a gas station when they robbed the place, both of gas and food, drove the car off to the edge of that forest, and then left the car and entered the forest on foot. And that's when, as you noted, we were tracking a massive manhunt through a big rural area, the forest the size of Paris. Well, it turns out what probably happened is early this morning, they went to a secondary road, not a highway, a secondary road running alongside that forest. Remember, we're about 45 miles outside of Paris at this point, and stopped and hijacked a car, a small compact car, Peugeot 206, put the passenger out of the car. We know that because that individual, a woman, then called up police and said, hey, your two main suspects, they're in my car right now. And what was alarming, this happened early this morning, Friday morning, French time, that car started steaming towards Paris, started heading in the direction that the police feared most, that in fact they might try to do something else inside Paris. They had set up a roadblock across this secondary road, and about 8 a.m. or so, approximately, that is where a shootout occurred. The police were at the roadblock, and the car sped through. There was a gunfire exchange. The car stormed on and then ended up in this business park, this industrial park in the small town about 25 miles north of Paris, population 8,500. They entered a business, printing supply business. Apparently, there were 5 people inside that building. Somehow, 4 got out. We have reports that 1 ran away and perhaps that 3 others were somehow released. We don't know. But we do know that these 2 individuals, which had been variously identified as absolutely the suspects in this case, or probably the suspects in this case, although odds are that they absolutely are in this building with a hostage. Now, what we're also hearing, in addition to the huge amount of police, special force, anti-terror, and military surrounding this location, negotiations have begun. There is contact with one negotiator, we are told, skilled in the art of referring to the particular sensitivities, perhaps you would say, of these thugs, these killers. That is the religious orientation that they have. So they're trying to mix cultural messages with a firm message that they've got to give themselves up. And as you and your guests have been reporting, as we have been hearing, the hostage is the game changer. We were hearing things like ring of steel around this industrial park, a war zone. There were shots exchanged at that situation as well. But now everything is slowed down. We're watching live feeds of the business park right now. And I got to tell you guys, it looks fairly casual. I mean, it's not a Dog Day Afternoon Al Pacino situation. You've got French police standing around. They're not hiding behind cars. You did note the sniper. That's important. But I got to believe that right now, negotiation rather than force is playing the upper hand. But again, also what we're saying is that we're hearing from some analysts that when it is necessary to use force, they will use force. One analyst was on French TV saying, hey, it's just about game time. Well, we don't know when that game time is. We don't know when that game is up, guys.
Greg, a few things stood out about your rundown. They're in the woods and they have a chance to get out. Or perhaps go further and deeper. Instead, they go back to where the population is. And they had a chance to kill the woman, and instead they just took her car, knowing that she's going to pick up the phone and communicate on what just happened. Yet she's allowed to live, yet we know there are bloodthirsty killers because we witnessed it on video. What do you make of the contradictions?
Well, I think one of your analysts made a good point. When they stormed the Charlie Hebdo newspaper office on Wednesday, they were in charge. They had the surprise. They had the guns. They had the masked faces. They had the rocket launcher. And so they were in control of the situation. Now they are on the run. Yeah. Now they're being hunted. And now, this is what the French authorities are hoping for, they are willing to make a mistake or happening to make a mistake. One other crucial mistake that I'm sure we pointed out before and we'll point out again, one of them, Saeed Karachi, said left his identification card inside
in the car,
the getaway card.
Greg.
And that's a major mistake. So they're going to make mistakes, but again, the game changer, they've got an individual in there, a civilian with them, and there have already been 12 innocent lives lost in this. The French authorities do not want 13.
Of course
They do
not.
not want that number to be 13.